Hey everybody, just thought I'd make another video here real quick, introducing you to a couple of new friends of mine. The first friend is a really nice example of a Remington 1875 revolver. This is a 7.5-inch blued model, chambered in 4440. It has a really low production group on it. Remington did not serialize their firearms like Colt did. They put batch numbers on them, and this particular model has batch number 7, which is pretty low. It's fully functional. It condition-wise, there's no major pitting. Some minor surface rust areas on it where you can see where at one time it had some surface rust, nothing major. The patina is beautiful on it. Has its lanyard rings, walnut grips, 7.5-inch barrel, which was pretty much standard on these. This is a really super fine example of this particular firearm. And the condition that it's in is really, really good for its age. Now, let me introduce you to his brother. This is a Remington 1875 as well. It's, again, a 7.5-inch barreled model. It is nickeled, obviously, but it's got a really beautiful set of ivory grips on them. There is a little bit of a ding on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. But considering the age of the ivory, they're really nice. Again, this firearm is fully functional. It's in really great shape. The bluing on it is really nice. There's a couple spots on it, but for its age, nothing major. This is a really super nice example of a nickeled Remington 1875 revolver. Now, these, I honestly don't know how many of these in nickel they made. Obviously, the buyer had to pay extra for the nickel and the ivory grips as well. But again, to see one in this condition is I won't say it's rare, but this is one of the nicer examples you'll see of a nickel. I mean, most of the nickel you'll see, where it's either peeled or flaked or pitted off. This really doesn't have any of those examples. It does a little bit on the cylinder face, which is normal from firing over the years. But all in all, this is a really super. I don't want to pull the trigger and fire it, but this is a very super nice example of a nickeled 1875 with ivory grips. Again, compared to its other half, the blued one. The blued one is nice as well. And these things are just, I mean, they made a lot of them. The production run on these was in the neighborhood of around 30,000 over like a 15-year run. So, I mean, they made quite a few of them, and these were very common. I believe the famous outlaw Frank James preferred the 1875 over the Colt or the Smith & Wesson. Again, my personal belief is, since this was Remington's first metallic cartridge firearm, a lot of your older Civil War vets or a lot of your older cowboys or whatnot were familiar with the Remington 1858. That was very prevalent throughout the Civil War. I personally feel that they liked this particular model because it was a cartridge version of what they were used to. When Remington originally came out with this, their idea was to compete with Colt for the Army contract, which they did not get. This gun was never used in the in the U.S. military. It never got adopted, but it was widely sold to the public. The public loved this gun, and they sold quite a few of them up until the 1890 came around. Which, honestly, if you watch my previous video on the 1890, you will notice the only real difference between this gun and the 1890 is this rib right here. The 1890, basically Remington cut this rib off. They figured they didn't need the extra weight. It really wasn't doing anything, to enhance the firearm, so they removed it. But, other than that, there's not a whole lot of difference between the 1875 and the 1890. But all in all, you will find that the 1875 is just a wonderful piece of history. The firearm is, it's really a sturdy, standard firearm. Do I want to say it's better than a Colt or a Smith & Wesson? No, I don't. I'm not going to make that judgment call. I think personally, it's up to your own individual personal preference. And back in the the old days when lawmen, outlaws, cowboys, the average person was carrying around a firearm, I think a lot of it had to do with economics and personal preference. Obviously, Colt ruled the market, but again, don't disregard the fact that there were 30,000 of these things made, over a decade and a half. So, anyway, just thought I'd introduce you to these. This is, I believe, my second installment on the Remington Revolver. I think that everyone should enjoy watching this. These are really interesting pieces. You normally don't get to see too many of them floating around on the market. They're out there, but the truth is, most of the ones that are out there are reproductions. They are reproing these. And they're very, very popular with cowboy action shooters, and basically old antique cowboy gun enthusiasts, because, obviously you really don't want to run these hard, although these are in fireable condition. I personally wouldn't, whereas with a reproduction, you can, shoot it to your heart's content, and as well as not being in the hole, because obviously an original 1875 is going to be considerably more than a nice reproduction. So these do come up on the market. They are somewhat affordable, I would say. They're not going to be an inexpensive antique firearm, but I do believe that these are relatively affordable on the open market, if you're into that sort of thing. So think about it, enjoy the video, and I believe there's going to be an article on our website as well with some detailed pictures of both of these firearms. If you enjoy it, leave a comment. If you have any questions, obviously there's going to be a lot of people out there that know a heck of a lot more about these things than I do. So go ahead and chime in with comments. We appreciate all the feedback we get. Anyway, everyone, have a great day.